Good evening. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. We're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Police Chief Bill Carter.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our invocation tonight from the Wendell Council of Churches, we're going to hear from Father Archie Takei of St. Eugene's Catholic Church. Are you with us, Father Takei?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, go ahead. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Good evening. Let's put ourselves in the most holy presence of God, invoking His presence as well as His guidance. Holy God, we gather here as members of the Board Town meeting, and we thank you for calling us together. It is our privilege and our responsibility to support, foster, and advance the mission of this board membership. We accept this task in total dependence upon you, O Lord, for it is you who began this work, you who guide it, and will bring it to fulfillment. Send your creative spirit upon us as we hold this meeting. Open our hearts to recognize your presence among us. Open our minds to respond to your calling. Enable us to draw upon the wisdom and experience of yesterday as we respond to the questions, concerns of tomorrow. Freedom to speak the truth boldly and with kindness. Give us patience to listen openly without prejudice. Give us confidence to discover and explore new possibilities. Give us wisdom to discern what is right and good and just. Give us courage to participate in your ongoing work of creation. We call upon your intercession as well as your blessing on this meeting. All glory, honor, and praise are yours, Holy God, for all ages. Amen.
Thank you again.
You're welcome.
All right, are there any adjustments to the agenda tonight? We have a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda. Commissioner Joyner.
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach.
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz.
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnaski.
Aye.
Commissioner Boyette.
Aye.
That passes. We have no one signed up for public comment period tonight, but I want to remind you briefly that you can contact the town clerk by the Friday before our next meeting, and she will help you get signed up to give public comment. We haven't had anyone sign up yet during the pandemic. We sure would love to hear from y'all. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Commissioner Joyner.
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach.
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz.
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnaski.
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. We're going to move into Section 4. Item 4A is a presentation of proclamation proclaiming March 19th as Arbor Day for the town of Wendell. As you know, we're having to do a lot of things different this year as we had to last year, and so we're going to go ahead and read our Arbor Day proclamation tonight. So it's titled Proclaiming March 19th, 2021 as Arbor Day for the town of Wendell. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska and is now observed throughout the nation and the world, whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind, water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. Whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. Whereas trees in Wendell increase our property values, enhance the economic vitality of the business areas, beautify our community, and are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Whereas Wendell is celebrating 38 years of recognition as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation, and desires to continue its tree planting ways. Now therefore, on behalf of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners, I, Mayor Virginia Gray, do hereby proclaim Friday, March 19th, 2021 as Arbor Day in the town of Wendell, and I urge all citizens to support efforts to care for our trees and woodlands and to support our town's community forestry program. Further, I urge citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. Duly proclaimed this the 22nd day of February 2021. So, that's our Arbor Day celebration for this year. I wanted to take a moment to thank Philip Smith and our tree board for all of their work. They plant trees all over town at all of our various schools. They have a plan for each school within our area. They assist citizens with problems and questions about trees, and they educate our youngest citizens when they visit the schools about trees and how they benefit our community. And they spend a lot of time on that, and I wanted to just take this opportunity to thank them for that. It makes me very happy when I ride by Carver and Wendell Middle and Wendell Elementary, and I see the trees, and I remember being out there planting those trees. So I'm sure those children remember that as well. So thank you to them. All right, moving on, item 4B is the recognition of the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Award for fiscal year 2021, and we're going to hear from Senior Accountant Garrett Johnson. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the board. Thanks for having me tonight. I imagine by this point in time, you feel like Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day. I'm back with the same message as last year, just a new year. It's a great message to present, though. As the mayor alluded, the town of Wendell has been awarded its second consecutive and overall Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, awarded by the Governmental Finance Officers Association for the fiscal year 2021 budget, which is our current operating year. While a balanced budget is required by North Carolina General Statute, the town has chosen to participate in the GFOA's Budget Award Program by going above and beyond general statute requirements. Similar to the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, or CAFR, program that the town participates in, the GFOA Budget Award submittal is evaluated by a panel of outside reviewers with experience in the public sector budgeting field. Receiving this award is a great testament to the efforts of our budget team, town staff across all departments. It's a team effort to get this put together. It's a very robust document that you've all been given and review often, I'm sure, as do we. So we've, like I said, we've received the award. We've received critiques from the submittal. So we are getting to the beginning phases of the fiscal 22 budget. So we're going to take those critiques, try to make the budget document even better, and we're going for a third consecutive award, hopefully. So thanks again to all the staff that help put this together. So glad to present it. Thank you.
Thank you. Very proud of y'all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you, Butch, as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I want to thank both of you guys. Someone recently said to me, it seems like y'all are, the town's just doing all of these things and you're doing so much. Comparatively, I felt like I used to keep up and now you're just doing all of these things and it seems like you're spending money. And I said, well, both of those things are true. We are doing a lot of things and we are spending money. And one of the differences that I cited was the GFOA process and the way that we do the budget now and the level of transparency that's there. I know that it's not something we've always had, but it certainly gives me, as a board member, a good deal of confidence knowing that the financial house is in order and it's open for examination. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Believe it or not, we have no public hearings tonight. And take a moment and get some staff folks in here for our next item. Don't even sit down. Item 6A is a decision for disinterment, relocation, and reinterment of graves located at 5301 Rollsville Road to Oakwood Cemetery in Raleigh, submitted by Richard Grubb Associates on behalf of Wake Technical Community College, and we're going to hear from Assistant Planning Director Brian Coates. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Give me just one moment here. So the decision before you tonight is for the decision for the disinterment, relocation, and reinterment of graves located at 5301 Rollsville Road. And Wake Tech and Richard Grubb Associates are on the line to answer any additional questions that you may have. There were no comments that came in after our public hearing on February 8th. The graves are located on the Wake Tech property, and the request is to move them to Oakwood, where they'll have perpetual care and be maintained. And I can field any questions that you may have.
Is there anything from the board for Mr. Coates? Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the proposed request to, approve the disinterment, relocation, and reinterment, as requested.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the disinterment, relocation, and reinterment as requested. Is there any discussion on the motion from the board? All right, Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tornaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item 6B is a decision on a text amendment to the arterial and collector street plan and map to remove a proposed minor thoroughfare between Morphus Bridge Road and Wendell Boulevard due to environmental and cost constraints. I'm going to hear from Planning Director Nikki Jones. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. At the last meeting, we had the public hearing on this text amendment. As a reminder, the applicant is David Birdmark and McAdams. His request was to delete proposed minor thoroughfare that is on the ACS map, which is our future transportation map. This is a 4-lane divided road shown crossing Old Quarry Road on the transportation map. This facility basically connects Wendell Boulevard to the north and Morphus Bridge to the south. The intent of this road would be to provide future traffic movement to the south. The challenge with this particular segment is that it has to cross several environmental challenges, and this would be a severe financial hurdle for the developer to overcome. This map is the current transportation map, and this would be the segment that we will be possibly removing. This depicts all the environmental challenges it would take to cross here on this proposed road. And then these environmental challenges would, of course, provide financial challenges as well. Again, here's the proposed segment. That being said, happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, anything from the board? All right, none. I'm looking for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the proposed text amendment as requested.
We have a motion to approve the text amendment. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tornaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item 6C is a decision on a rezoning to establish a R4 conditional district for the Watson tract located at 5060 Wendell Boulevard. And we're going to hear from Mr. Coates again.
Yep, good evening. Give me one moment here. Yep, so the decision's on a rezoning to establish R4 conditional district at 5060 Wendell Boulevard. The applicants requested to create an R4 conditional district on the roughly 47 acres. The applicant's layout here is staying out of the environmentally sensitive areas that surround this floodplain. It's a single-family neighborhood. Quite a few conditions, just to remind you of most of those. Those are here on the screen. They are asking for a cul-de-sac length extension and one street segment to exceed 800. Those are the ask. And They are because of environmental features, floodplain on the site. The other conditions are all kind of gives. They're giving us easement for potential greenway along Little River. They're giving us more than the required park space, some design guidelines when it comes to garages and homes, exterior elevations, and the roof eaves, as well as Energy Star certified homes for green energy standards. Sidewalks on both sides when the zoning only requires it on one, and then the foundations to be elevated as well. The applicant, David Bergmark, is on the line if you have any questions, and I can field some as well.
Okay, anything from the board? All right, looking for a motion?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the proposed conditional district request.
We have a motion to approve the proposed conditional district request. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
All right. Item 6D is a decision on a non-contiguous annexation for one parcel totaling 47.42 acres located at 5060 Wendell Boulevard. Mr. Coates.
Yep. So this annexation is for the parcel that you just approved their rezoning on. As part of our projects, we are doing the annexation and then the development plans when it's a conditional district on the same evening. There were no additional comments on the annexation after February 8th public hearing, and we can field any questions that you may have on the annexation.
All right, thank you. Anything from the board?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the requested annexation and adopt the attached ordinance.
All right, we have a motion to approve the annexation and adopt the attached ordinance. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnaski?
Aye.
Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
Thank y'all. Item 6E is a motion on a non-contiguous annexation for one parcel totaling 5063 acres located at 0 Eagle Rock Road.
Yep, so this annexation public hearing was held February 8th as well. This is, there was a rezoning back in August of 2020 for the 50 acres to go from RR to R3. That rezoning was approved, and now they're coming in for annexation, which will involve eventually requesting connection to utilities. The applicant, Amanda Bambrick, is on the phone to answer any questions. It is just an annexation request. The rezoning was already approved.
Anything from the board?
I have one question, Mayor. Just in Brian, in the delays since the original request came through back in August, has there been anything changed in this project or planning that would make us feel otherwise uncomfortable about handling this like always?
Yeah, nothing has changed. They have not submitted any plans for TRC. They will have to do that to get any residential approvals.
Okay.
And they have not yet, but they're working on this. They want to get the annexation in place
Okay.
before they submit to TRC for review.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm?
With that, I'll make a motion to approve the requested annexation and adopt the attached ordinance.
We have a motion to approve the requested annexation and adopt the attached ordinance. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item 6F is a decision to formally close a right-of-way known as the alley located between 4th Street and East Depot Street. Mr. Jones.
Good evening again. At the last meeting, the board held the public hearing which was required. And we have gone through a formal process per North Carolina General Statutes to formally close the right-of-way. Here's the process that we've gone through thus far. We've adopted the resolution. There was legal advertisement for 4 consecutive weeks. A sign was posted. We sent letters to adjoining property owners. Again, last meeting, we held the public hearing, and today we would be asked to take action. Here's a map of the right-of-way that we would like to close. The right-of-way would go to both properties, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anything from the board?
Got one, and Nikki, I think that started to explain this to me last time, but it appears that, how are we splitting this up between those two? Because like there's a building in the middle and,
So half of the right-of-way will go to one building, the other half will go to the other building. Carter Kennemer owns both properties, and he's actually selling, if I have this correctly, the front portion. East Wake actually owns the front portion of it, so they'll actually get a piece of the property as well. So it actually gets split up between both parcels. You don't actually see both parcels here, or all the parcels here. Half of this right-of-way goes to this building, the other half goes to this building. What you don't see here is the parcel line right here, which is East Wake. Does that answer your
sure we
question?
weren't given, buildings seem hard to split, so I was just,
Well, the building wouldn't be split, just it's the property
That's all I
line
needed to
under the
hear.
building, yeah.
It's clearing up a long-standing problem, actually. I'm on their board. It's been needing to be fixed for a while. All right, anything else from the board?
I mean, I make a motion to approve the proposed request in order of closing the unimproved road right away.
Okay, so your motion to approve the request and the order to formally close the right-of-way. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Joyner?
aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item 6G is a decision on text amendments to the Town of Wendell Code of Ordinance and Unified Development Ordinance to comply with Chapter 160D of the North Carolina General Statutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this came before the board last meeting as a public hearing. This is to essentially fall in line with the North Carolina General Assembly, something that they've done to essentially consolidate the city and the county, enabling legislation as it relates to development regulations. It's important to note that this law does not make any major policy shifts. This is essentially to bring everybody in a kind of consistent format when we talk about planning development regulations throughout the state. This amendment is one of many amendments that we will be bringing before the board. This first batch will pertain to these 3 bullet points. Essentially, anywhere it says 160A in our code, we will replace it with 160D. We're also removing old terminology and aligning it with our current code. For example, conditional use zoning district will be taken out of our code. We no longer do that. And in addition to that, there's some terms that we want to make sure that our definition meets the state law and state definitions. One of those definitions that you'll see in your packet is the definition of a dwelling unit. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anything from the board?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the proposed text amendment request.
We have a motion to approve the proposed text amendment request. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
Item 6H is the Americans with Disability Act policy statement and grievance procedure for the town of Wendell. We're going to hear from the town manager, Mark Collins, tonight.
Thank you,
Good
ma'am.
evening.
God, they've got it down to a science on how to do this. I have to remember how to do it again. Okay. All right. Much like the last item, this is a regulatory compliance issue for the town. When the town passed 50 employees, it became subject to Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act, as previously reported. That sets off a list of items from the Department of Justice that we need to do to become compliant. The first is to name an ADA coordinator. Our ADA coordinator is Ms. Debbie Kennedy, our Human Resources Administrator, and so she's our point of contact for any ADA question or concern for the town. Second is the adoption of the ADA policy statement, which was provided in your packet. This policy statement provides regulatory compliance language. It's fairly boilerplate for their policy statements, and then identifies that we have a coordinator, that we follow a process, and how someone can contact the town to make a request or to file a grievance. And so that policy statement would be the second action, but the first action for the board to take. The third item is the adoption of an ADA grievance policy. This is consistent with other ADA grievance policies from around the state. The town, in preparing what was in your packet, reviewed comparative ADA policies and grievance policies from around North Carolina and other municipalities. Our consultant, Withers Ravenel, reviewed that with North Carolina Department of Transportation Civil Rights staff, who administers ADA on behalf of the state of North Carolina, and everything is consistent with what is expected. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if anything came up in your review.
Okay. Any questions for the manager from the board?
For a motion, Madam Mayor?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the required, I'll make a motion to approve the ADA policy statement and grievance procedure for the town of Wendell.
We have a motion to approve the ADA policy policy statement and grievance standard for the town of Wendell. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, Commissioner Joyner,
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach,
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz,
Aye.
Commissioner Tornaski,
Aye.
and Commissioner Boyette.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. All right, next is Bearded Bee Brewery alcohol waiver request for Saturday, March 20th, 2021. I'm going to hear from Assistant to the Town Manager, Stephanie Smith.
Good evening. I'm here to request approval to allow alcohol in permitted areas of East Camden Row. The Bearded Bee plans to expand the square footage of the brewery on Saturday, March 20th to allow additional space to accommodate expected customers related to St. Patrick's Day. The additional space will be on East Camden Row and will allow customers to maintain appropriate distancing related to the current governor's order. We've included the section of the Code of Ordinances that requires board approval when alcohol would be permitted on public property. Bearded Bee will provide staffing at all access points to the area to ensure compliance with alcohol regulations, and has already named the town of Wendell as an additional insured for the duration of the use of the space. We have reviewed the request from the applicant to close the portion of East Camden Road to accommodate the additional space. We're ready to approve that request contingent on the Board of Commissioners' approval of the alcohol waiver request. Bearded Bee is required to follow all guidelines provided by the ABC Commission's Memorandum of Guidelines for the temporary extension of premises for on-premises consumption, and is aware that this approval can be rescinded based on any changes to the current governor's order. I've included a map that Bearded Bee has provided outlining the areas that they're planning on restricting for alcohol access. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Are there any questions from the board? Commissioner Joyner?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, I know historically, when we extend this, particularly like a Harvest Festival event, we have law enforcement, either contracted in or our guys. I saw an application where they said they'd have people at the entry points. I'm assured, I guess one, are those people then taking on the responsibility of monitoring the crowd size? And two, is our law enforcement going to be involved in having to do that?
The difference is that it's not a special event permit request. It's an extension of premises. So we don't want it, the town doesn't want to take on liability of their premises. They're extending their premise onto public property. So they're subject under their ABC
licensure for that area, and it's completely different than what's typical. It's not a special event request.
Right, I guess my question was, we're managing more than one ball in the air here, so the pandemic part of the equation,
Part of the ABC requirements are that an existing business can expand its outdoor seating area to make up its lost capacity, the 50% from inside the building that their normal occupancy would have, no more. So this is something that the ABC Commission and Governor's Office has reviewed and determined consistent with the Governor's orders for the pandemic. If this was a typical greenfield development request on like a 2-acre property somewhere, if they had developed a new site, they could just go out in their parking lot and do this and would require nothing from the town whatsoever. In this case, it's a downtown business that doesn't have that space. They had the footprint of their building, so we're trying to accommodate our downtown businesses to have the same level playing field as a business outside of downtown.
And it kind of much like restaurants that have seating and parking places right now and things like that in a lot of areas that you see.
Exactly, ma'am.
Okay.
So much of just a picture this in my mind is just for this moment here, a large outdoor seating space that's all part of the Beer to Be, basically.
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
No, just a quick comment, Madam Mayor, Commissioner Deloach. The idea is people are coming regardless because it's St. Patrick's Day, we assume. So we're just accommodating a safer setup for everybody, creating space. That's my take on it.
They're really the first ones who have taken advantage of the additional seating outside.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's why I think it seems a little bit unusual to us, because no one else has taken advantage of that.
Yeah, and if I read the map correctly, they will have chairs out there as well, so it's not just
Yeah.
like people are going to be milling around, hanging
There-
out, so.
Yes, they're encouraging people to bring chairs. They'll also be marking on the pavement, kind of zones where people can sit. So the same expectations that they have inside the brewery where tables are spaced out will be carried outside as well.
Any other questions from the board?
No more questions. Pretty simple.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the request to allow alcohol in the permitted areas of East Camden Road.
All right, we have a motion to permit the alcohol waiver request on East Camden Road. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor? Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tornaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. All right, now we're up to 6J. And I've just got to tell you, I'm really jazzed about this one. This is the second amendment to the Wendell Raleigh Utility Merger Agreement. I'm going to hear from Town Manager. I feel like we should have like confetti falling and...
Drum roll.
I know. Nobody's excited. Y'all get excited. This is great.
Yes, ma'am. I know this is a long time coming for the community. The City of Raleigh utility staff and their consultant ran the financial pro forma that anticipates our revenues, and they do anticipate that they would have recovered sufficient costs to accomplish the water and sewer utility merger for the town of Wendell on or about March 24th, 2021. What that means for the town upon both parties agreeing to this merger agreement is that Raleigh would have collected enough money to finish their ongoing capital projects that remain Wendell projects, that they're removing several projects that won't be completed or started or needed during the term of this agreement. It does not mean that the official financial closeout does not occur for nearly a year and a half later when the capital projects are finished and the final accounting occurs. At that time, any overage that Wendell ratepayers have paid will be converted by Raleigh back to the town in the form of additional water and sewer capacity. So they, in their assumption, they're assuming there's an overage at this point. They will also do some smoothing between our water capacity allocation and our sewer. That was when the town previously gave back capacity. Usually it's sewer's 90% of water, and right now it's 75% of water. So we'll do a little bit of adjusting at that time as well. But that's about a year out. Most importantly, for what the citizens care about,
Hit the bottom line.
yeah, is that in April, they will be billed for the Raleigh system rates instead of the elevated Wendell merger rates. So when they get their bill in May, for the April water use, it'll be at a lower rate. And I'm not going to say what that means for every ratepayer, but it will be, should be, for a very large number of them, less, unless they use more water than normal, or some other reason, but the rate that they pay will be at the Raleigh rate. Long time coming. Within that agreement, so that the projects that are taken out is a sewer extension along Old Wilson Road that's not needed during the life of this agreement, a pump station upgrade at the Green Willow Pump, that isn't needed during the life of this, and the Whitley Way pump station and force main improvements, again, not needed during this time period. Any capital improvement that's needed after this time is part of the Raleigh Utility Capital Improvement Plan and funded by all the ratepayers in the system and not just by the town of Wendell ratepayers, will be part of the system at that point. It also provides for electronic notice. Typically, you send out a written notice at least 30 days in advance. We're assuming that our ratepayers will be glad to get notice every means possible that their rates are going down as soon as we can get that to them. We'll be doing a joint communication, if approved, with the City of Raleigh, so Raleigh and the Wendell Commission will get a recognition for paying this off, which is earlier than originally anticipated. The town did not put any additional funding to close out the agreement at this time. It naturally retired itself, but the town had given back some capacity prior, as well as made additional payments using development revenues received in the past to expedite this date. Just for note, it's my understanding that Zebulon's also tracking to close out as well. There's an efficiency to close out both at the same time for Raleigh staff. Happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
All right, any questions for the manager from the board?
I would ask when a motion is made that it be to authorize if you so deem worthy, to authorize the town manager to execute the agreement upon final legal review.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the proposed second amendment to the Raleigh-Wendell Utility Merger Agreement and to authorize the town manager to, had it so good until just now, to execute the agreement per legal review.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the amendment to the Raleigh-Wendell Utility Merger Agreement and to authorize and instruct the manager to sign it per legal review. Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion?
Nope.
All right, Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tarnaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
All right. Item 6K is a resolution requesting the North Carolina Department of Transportation for a speed limit reduction on Hollybrook Road between Old Selma Road and Holly Point Drive from 45 to 35. Mr. Coates.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request to NCDOT for a speed reduction on Hollybrook between Old Selma and Holly Point Drive. With the recent annexations and development that's occurring between residential and a town park site, staff is requesting DOT reduce the speed limit. Also, there's some benefits in that. Right now, there's mixed jurisdiction between so the speed limit varies in there between town and county, which is all DOT, but there's a variety of speed limits. It also, when the speed limit is 35, it allows us to do more street trees closer to the street and allows us some kind of implement our transportation plan. Further, the town's, designing the park. The neighborhood is going to be under construction soon by Fred Smith. So those are the two main reasons we want the speed limit lowered. We're requesting that the town manager provide a written request on behalf of the town requesting the lower speed limit. The attached resolution will be provided with the written request to DOT. Staff recommends that you adopt the resolution.
Anything from the board? Any questions?
Yes, ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Brian, who brought this up? Was this something the town staff brought up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, both items are town staff.
And then a question for me, as I'm looking at the map here, when it gets to, I guess, Holly Point Drive, is it 35 already there?
Yes.
It is, okay, so we're just continuing the 35 all the way down Holly Brook now?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what we're asking for, yep.
Okay, just to make sure.
DOT will review that and get back to us with a decision. And their main factors are development patterns, annexations, things that have been occurring in that corridor.
Okay, I wasn't sure it hit 35 right there, but it was a little further up, so. I'll make a motion to approve the proposed resolution and authorize the town manager to request the NCDOT reduce the speed limit on Holly Brook Road as stated.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the proposed resolution and authorize the manager to request the DOT reduce the speed limit. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Real quick, Madam Mayor, I just want to say, this goes back to my time on the planning board, went back when we were talking about the subdivision initially. Speed was a big concern. Either side of the street was the subdivision and a crossover, and so this dates back quite a while, so I'm excited to see this for sure.
Any other discussion?
No.
Comments? Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tornaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
All right. The next item is a resolution requesting the North Carolina Department of Transportation for a speed limit reduction on Wendell Falls Parkway between Jake May Road and Landing View Drive from 45 to 35 miles an hour.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We're requesting a similar resolution to DOT to lower the speed limit on Wendell Falls Parkway between Jake May Drive and Landing View. Segment of road is maintained by DOT. The speed limit is also part of NCDOT's jurisdiction. The speed limits, we've recently annexed land in front of the golf course for the Wendell Falls Towns project. Between that and the Stone Arbor project, which is under construction, we're requesting the speed limit be reduced in that section down to 35. Again, with the development pattern, two residential projects, and so we're just requesting that reduction down to 35 as well.
Anything from the board?
I'll say the exact same thing. This is just an example of people having input in the process. Mayor Gray starts off every meeting with, hey, we're not hearing public comment. But I will tell you that these particular items were the result of comments, because I remember hearing about how, all this townhomes going in that curve, it's 45 miles an hour. So this is certainly something that should be well received. So thank you.
Anyone else?
I certainly agree with what Commissioner Deloach is saying there. I do. want to highlight for everyone else that might be watching that there is a normal process that we go through for both of these sections don't have people really currently living on at least large portions of them. And which brings me to the question, the last speed reduction that we did, we reduced both the speed limit and the size of the speed limit sign. And I don't know if the second part was intentional or not, but Haywood Street, I was just hoping, I'm assuming since these are DOT and DOT will have to replace the signs, that it'll be standard DOT signs?
That is correct, they will be.
Okay. I'd also just encourage us whenever we do a street reduction to use regular DOT signs. The smaller ones are cute, but that's about it.
From my understanding, we're reviewing the Haywood Street signs.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I'll make a motion here, and you guys are welcome to do this tonight. Don't feel like I have to do all of them myself. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution and authorize the town manager to request the NCDOT to reduce the speed limit on Wendell Falls Parkway.
Okay, so we have a motion to adopt the resolution and authorize the town manager to request the DOT reduce the speed limit on Wendell Falls Parkway. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, Commissioner Joyner?
Aye.
Commissioner Deloach?
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz?
Aye.
Commissioner Tornaski?
Aye.
And Commissioner Boyette?
Aye.
All right, thank y'all. All right, moving into section 7, other business, update on board committees by town board members. Campo had a virtual meeting this past week. We held a public hearing on our Unified Planning Work Program and the MPO self-certification for fiscal year 2022. We anticipate adopting that in the meeting in March. It was relatively regarding core programs, LAP, TIP, MTO, weight transit plan, some other special studies and things that we're doing, and the Campo strategic plan and the budget, so it was inclusive. We also heard a briefing about the Northeast Area Study, of which Wendell is a part. If you're interested in that, there's a survey on there. We'd love your participation. It's neasupdate.com. At this time, they are developing guiding principles that are coming from the public engagement that I would love for you to participate in. So this is your time to be heard again. The questions cover things like spending, where people want to see things, what do they want to see where. And so this is your chance to participate and have your voice heard. So I urge you to go to their website. It's neasupdate.com and participate. We had an update on the safety performance measures and targets for fiscal year 2021. This is something that is brought to us annually to hear. We had updates on the North Carolina bonus allocation projects. That's extra money that comes in every year, so there's some bonus projects that come out of that. An update on the 2021 and 2022 enhanced mobility of seniors and individuals with disability program, and a call for projects. That is a City of Raleigh program that's administered by Campo staff, so it's overseen by Campo, but it's a City of Raleigh project. We had updates on the development of the draft 2050 Metropolitan Planning Transit Plan, the Metropolitan Transit Plan. We examined the deficiencies in transportation network and discussed projects that needed to be handled and things like that, and how to handle that with the anticipated growth in various areas. We had updates on joint MPO transportation policy, which is essentially where the capital area MPO partners with the MPO to the west towards the Chapel Hill area. And the priorities and policies that are going to go along, we update those periodically of working with that group, because you want to have continuity when you leave Chapel Hill and you're coming to Raleigh. You want to make sure these things all mesh up. So we had a budget update, we had various project updates and staff reports, and they encouraged, and I wanted to inform the board of that, MPO 101 is going to be February 25th. from 8:30 to 12. If you go on the Campo website, you can take that, and it's a great thing to do. There's a lot to learn. I do it every year just because there's a lot to learn. So if you're interested in it and interested in what goes on at Campo, you can go and take that entire morning class and learn what all the letters stand for. And it's interesting, though, to know how the decisions are made about the streets and highways in this region. Next, the Technical Review Committee. We're going to hear from Mayor Pro Tem John Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. There were several TRC meetings. I was able to make the majority of them. I missed one of them. My comments may be a little bit shorter tonight for a couple of reasons, but I'm just going to keep my comments a little more concise than I have in the past. The first project that was reviewed was a residential development off Jake May. No major concerns were noted, and nothing out of the ordinary. The second one was Wendell Falls Phase 11, which is another residential development. It was noted that that's probably going to be the last single-family phase built in Wendell Falls, of 130 units. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Next, Commissioners' reports and comments. We'll start with Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Want to thank town staff and for working with Wake County to get a testing site at Wendell Community Park. If you are needing to get a COVID test, go online, wake.gov, wakegov.com. Google COVID Wendell testing site and check our social media. Certainly an asset, and certainly hope to see it as a site of a vaccination site moving forward. I have forgotten the other thing, so that's all, Madam Mayor.
Commissioner Deloach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple things real quick. I just want to point out, and I've mentioned this before, we rolled through probably the largest agenda that we've had in quite some time. We did so in less than an hour, a very efficient manner, and I just want people to understand that, you know, we're voting on items this time that we discussed last time, so make sure that you keep up with what we're doing on an ongoing basis. You know, Facebook, obviously, we stream these. You can go to YouTube and watch them as well, or you can certainly reach out, email, phone call, whatever, to check in and see how things are going. But I would encourage you to do that. Again, thank you for the efficiency tonight, everyone, and thank you to town staff for helping to make our jobs a lot easier here. Big news tonight. If you didn't hear, rewind the tape. That might date me a little bit saying that, but water bill. So we're going to promote that. Hopefully some of that promotion is already being done for us on social media as we speak. So that is all, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Lutz.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I just had a couple things for tonight. One, just that take off from Commissioner Joyner's comments. I was fortunate enough to receive my second vaccine shot last week on a Friday, and between myself and my wife, both having ours done at this point, have had no ill or side effects or problems afterwards. So I encourage people who, if they're fearful or concerned about it, other than a little sore shoulder the next day, it was very easy, and the process, in my opinion, was very smooth going through the county itself. So I encourage everybody to check the sites for information and consider getting that taken care of. The other thing is just a general note, and this is just something that's been on my mind lately. We have been seeing a lot of new housing developments coming to this town and projects, and it's exciting. Wendell has had so much growth in the past 6 or 7 years especially. I have one just thought, kind of looking at what's coming through, and I've felt this way for a little while, and I may have said this before in less clear terms, but having the type of housing developments, I feel like we see the very same thing over and over again. And I know that the style now is the style, and I have no problem with the way that the developments are being put together and laid out now. I can certainly see the benefit in that one, but I just still have concern that our variety of housing in the town is becoming very vanilla, and uniform across the board. And so I would just encourage us as a board and as a town, as we're looking at these proposals that are coming through, to ensure that we're not just looking at each individual project and is it good or bad, but sometimes looking at, where we are in the global picture of, or as far as the town, I should say global, but the town picture overall of our developments, and what do we have present and what do we still have left. I would be hard to, hate to think that if in 15 years from now or 10 years from now, we look back at our housing and we look and just see nothing but kind of the same thing across the board. And I realize part of this is because that we have a lot of land and we are seeing our biggest growth at this time, and I think that's probably a sign. No matter where you look, you can tell when a town has had their biggest growth based on the type of houses that are there. But I would encourage us as a board just to continue to kind of evaluate that process and think about what's coming, and if it's a good project, that's wonderful, and let's allow it to happen. But if it's something that's not a great fit for us, or maybe doesn't add some variety, and I'm speaking to variety on all aspects and all fronts, then it's okay to pump the brakes and think about it and not just put it through. That was all I had.
Thank you. Commissioner Tarnowski?
No comment tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Commissioner Boyette?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll piggyback on what Commissioner Luce said. My wife and I are also very fortunate to both have received both of our vaccines with no ill effects, and I can tell you out of all the firemen, the majority of firemen have received both doses of the vaccine, and we haven't had any ill effects. I believe it is a very effective treatment, and I think it's well worth what little risk there is, if any. And I would encourage everyone to get it as soon as they are eligible to receive it. Also, I'm very happy to hear about the testing site at Wendell Community Center getting up and running. And I think it's going to be a good benefit on this side of the county. I know Zebulon already had a testing site opened up, but the closer they are to where the people are, then the more likely they are to be used. And so I think it's going to be a great thing to have right here in our town, and just the awareness of it, I think, is going to be a good thing. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Real briefly, I'm also really happy to see the testing site closer in to our downtown area. I think a lot of folks, we've had testing a couple of times actually at Hepzibah, and that's not very far, but it is far for some folks that have limited transportation. And so I'm excited to see something closer by where folks have easier access to, and I hope that will transition into a vaccine site as well. I want to remind you all that the farmers market is accepting applications for the 2021 season. It's going to take place on Saturdays from 8 to 12, from May 1st until October 2nd. Same place as last year on Camden in Maine. There's no fee to participate. You can attend as many markets as you would like. If you'd like to be a vendor, please go to the town's website, townofwendell.com, and fill out an application. We would love to have you join us. In these days right now of virtual meetings and virtual learning, I've had a lot of virtual meetings, and I had one this past week that was very interesting. I wanted to share real quickly. Lots of learning opportunities. This one was from the North Carolina League of Municipalities, and it was about food insecurity. And I was pleased to see that even though, of course, in a situation like that, in a topic like that, there's always going to be more that needs to be done. There's never going to be enough. But a lot of the recommendations that they were making to assist citizens in communities that were struggling with where their next meal's coming from, and that's a very real struggle that a lot of people have, and maybe enough of us don't recognize that, but it is a very real struggle. They had a list of recommendations, and it was interesting to me that we have done a lot of those things, if not every single one of them, right down to requiring sidewalks for new development. This is why we require sidewalks. This is, things like this, it makes such a big deal, and it's hard sometimes when you come to a town and you're asked to put in sidewalks and you think, well, why have I got to put it there? It's nowhere, it's in the middle of nowhere, it's going nowhere. But someday it will be a pedestrian area, and it is important that we do that, because there are some folks that that's the only way they can get to the grocery store. That's the only way they can get to things that they need. And one of the things that they need to do is to be able to grocery shop or go to the food pantry, and it is vital that we do those things. So it's more than just wanting a pretty town. It's more than just wanting to see everybody running around with the strollers and, you know, beautiful homes in a beautiful town. It's more than that, and I was really happy to see that we require that, and also that we have a sidewalk plan where we're trying to connect the dots. So we're doing a lot of things that are assisting residents here that maybe it isn't as obvious as some of the things that you see when you ride around town. It made me really proud to be a part of all that. One other thing was food pantries. Gosh, we have a ton of food pantries here, and we give away frozen casseroles. We have a lot of those opportunities here. So if anyone has a need for that, or if you know of anyone with a need for that, you can contact me and privately, and I will be happy to direct you to those things, and it can just be between you and I. I hope that you've noticed the upgrades and improvements in our downtown business district taking place. We've discussed those many times here in these meetings, and they're happening. There's signage for parking. There are being constructed some enclosures for dumpsters, which have garnered a lot of attention the last few days. And these are all good things. These are exciting. It's exciting to see things that we've planned coming to fruition. I'm excited to see them. And so thank you, Stephanie Smith, for you taking care of that in Public Works. It's all looking really great down there, and I'm very proud of it. And the last thing, I just feel like I can't close the meeting without just being excited about the water merger. This is something that I've been hearing about for, gosh, a decade. So I'm very excited that we're going to be able to be competitive with our water. There's a lot of reasons this is important. Day-to-day living and day-to-day finances for folks, the ability to attract businesses and residents. You know, one of the first things people say is, I can't come there, their water bill's so high. So we're getting ready to get that under control, and if it's high at this point, that's on you for running the water too much. So use some conservation tactics. But anyhow, I'm very excited and proud that that's being taken care of, and thank you to staff, because we've been pushing for that, and we're excited that that's happening. So, with all that, we're adjourned.
I'll make a motion for that.